is the same thing as the prime mover. What do we mean by that? What does it mean when I say agonist? All right, so I want to flex my arm. So these guys, this one, so you advise the brake, this will start the move, this will help finish the move. Okay? So this is going to start the move. So that's the agonist or the prime mover. That's the one who initiates the movement. The antagonist would be the guys on this side. They're going to work against the agonist. Agonist, antagonist. It's kind of like you people. I say you're going to do something. All right, you get that. All right. So, in other words, pull this table here. I'm going to start pushing it this way. If someone gets on that side, they don't let me push it, so they're antagonizing the movement. Simple as that. Now, so we're going to still beat you because we want to make the movement, so we're going to win. And how are we going to win? We're going to bring in synergists. And synergistic muscles are going to help the prime mover to complete its motion. So if this guy starts it, then the brachialis jumps in to help finish it. So I can completely bring my arm into full flexion. Okay? So what would that be? So I'm pushing, and you're the antagonist. Two more students come behind me, and they synergistically help me move this table. Why are you looking like you don't understand?
Because I know you didn't saw that word.
Antagonist?
Oh, synergist.
Synergist? S-Y-N? Not S-I-N. We're not talking about...
said S-Y-N.
No, I'm telling you, we're not talking about sinners.
S-Y-N. We are.
I can't believe we're going to make you rely on these things so you can play sports. Yeah. We'll talk after, so. Guys, I'll pass you a bit. I'm nice.
Thank you.
I'm nice.
I'm passing it out.
You are, but I'm going to push your chops about it. It's early. So let's go on.
I'm sensitive.
You're not sick, yes you are sick. All right, so again, did you understand what synergist is, though, you know, you couldn't spell it?
yeah.
So, okay, I don't care about, it'll be multiple choice, you don't have to spell it. Okay, so synergist, so it's going to help you move this tape, so you jump in. Now, you may say, well, as you're flexing, you have to go here, go all over the place. Well, to stop that from happening, we have fixated or stabilizers. And what they're going to do, they're going to be the muscles that would parallel the joint. You really don't need it so much with this joint. Why? Because it's a hinge joint. But say if we're moving our shoulder into full abduction. All right? So I want it to just go into straight abduction. I don't want it over here. I don't want it over here. I want it here. So what will happen? Any muscles that would be anterior or posterior to the joint would lock up to keep the joint in one plane of movement. So what we do now, we got two students here pushing with me. Students get on each side of this table to guide it that it stays in a straight path to go just that one movement I want. So your fixators, they do aid the prime mover to help it complete its movement, but they keep the joint stable to stay in that one plane of movement. And that plays a big role when you're talking, you know, the ball and socket joints, because those are multi-axis. Not so much with hinge joints, they really can't go in the other plane than the hinge movement. But when you've got joints that can move in more than one plane, then you need these fixators on each side. Okay, so they're going to stabilize the movement. All right, does that make sense to you? Good. So it's not that difficult to figure that out. Okay, now, there we're on this page.
We get that extra one.
Oh my God, movement! Movement of the muscles. Muscle movement. So, we'll talk about movement, then I'm going to go into all the different muscles that you can move. They're all listed out for you in the PowerPoint. Oh, you're going back here. Keep going along. Okay, so, okay, we're still, when you look at the upper extremity, all you really have in your upper extremity is the anterior So the anterior compartment of the upper extremity only can create flexion. The posterior compartment can only create extension.
Oh, you're fired.
That's it.
Anterior.
Oh, this is well, this is
Anterior flexion.
flexion. You know, I was going to
Equals
stay.
flexion, posterior equals extension.
Thank you. So we know what the movement is. So flexion would be decreasing the angle, extension would be increasing the angle.
Oh, yeah.
It varies a little more now when we get into the lower extremity. Don't care about the hands. Lower extremity, we're really thinking of the thigh, but with the thigh, we want to include the hip. So we put the hip flexors and hip extensors with the thigh. Okay? They're going to be. And the reason I'm saying this to you, what does hip flexion look like? So anterior compartment of my thigh also is involved with hip flexion. So your angle is going to be your body. Okay? So flexion of the hip is this, correct? So we got that. Okay. So that's what we mean by hip flexion. So what is hip extension? Fun?
Yelling back.
This. Oh yeah, I want to make sure you know. Good. Oh, everybody understand that. So your angle would be 180 degrees using your body, your torso against the hip. So the anterior part of your body would be for the flexion, the posterior part would be for the extension. Okay? So that's hip flexion. So again, so we go with the hip flexion. So if we're going to, the thigh will be involved with hip flexion. So what would be involved here? What muscle do you think is holding this? Hold it in extension. Okay, we're going to go through all the muscles anyway. Now, the thigh also will work on the leg. The leg is below the knee, guys. Okay, so since you got a nice leg, you're talking about a calf. You're not talking about a thigh. So
Well,
just get those facts straight.
a lot of the origin points for the tip fib or on the.
Well, I have to come down over. So now we talked about, okay, so this is flexion of the hip. It also will extend the knee. Okay, so when you flex, so the anterior compartment will flex the hip, but extend the knee. You got that? The posterior compartment will extend the hip, flex the knee. It does the opposite. So if you're flexing the hip, you're going to extend the knee. If you extend the hip, you're going to flex the knee. So they work backwards to one another. Makes sense, right? Well, just want to make sure.
You
Like every other muscle.
It doesn't make sense to her, see? So.
extend the hip and flex the knee?
Correct. Well, think about it. So you do this, and keep yourself in the butt,
Yeah.
right? Everybody good with that?
Think of that as the Miele trick.
Miele
Instead of
trick.
being regular, it will trick you by moving outside.
Now, the medial, so you have anterior, posterior, medial. There is no lateral compartment in the thigh. There is no true muscle there. A lot of ligament, structure, and tendon. There is no true muscle. It's bone. It's like the shin. Okay? Yeah. You're going to only mess people up. Kinesiology, yes, you have the ability to do this, but that's muscles joining in groups that do that. So just your glutes and your TFL and stuff, that's what they do. Right, synergistic movements. So the only other true compartment we have, true muscle sitting in there, close your legs, is would be your inner thigh, or medial thigh, and that's adduction. Okay, that's the one Mommy said, did you ever saw us work? Right.
Right.
So, make sure it works, keep those legs. Okay. That's why there's no lateral compartment, so you can't do this. Okay. So we have an anterior or posterior and medial compartment on the thigh. Let's go to the leg.
Or on
No, that was, there's the leg. Okay. No, so when you're talking knee down, that's your leg.
check.
Okay? So all these years you go wrong, you say, oh, she has nice legs. So put it this way, ladies, and even three gents in the room. What looks better when a girl's wearing something that exposes her top, her
Nothing.
calf?
The answer is nothing.
Nothing.
I said
No,
it first.
she wears heels.
Heels, thank you. Why would you wear heels? What looks better, flats or heels? Heels, because heels is going to contract the gastrocs and give it tone.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the posterior leg. So when you contract the gastrocs, what happens to the foot?
The toe goes down,
The toe goes down, which is called
something.
dorsiflexion. Yes, plantar flexion, not dorsiflexion, plantar flexion.
Same thing.
No, it's the opposite.
I have that.
All right, plantar flexion. So we have an anterior, we don't have a medial compartment because that's your shin bone. We have an anterior compartment, and we're going to go to all the muscles in these compartments next. Right here is the anterior compartment. And what that's going to do is you walk on your heels, so that'll dorsiflex. There's your dorsiflexion. So the posterior compartment is where your gastroc sits and your Achilles tendon, that'll plantar. The anterior compartment will dorsi, and the lateral compartment will evert. I'm not getting into the movements where you're going to bring other compartments in to make movement. We're just staying with one compartment, one movement. We're keeping it simple. We're not a kinesiology class or a basic anatomy class. Or we have to, because if we don't, we're gonna, people that are into that will understand it. People who are not into it, like the average nursing student, they're not. They don't need to know it. Just make they're not going to get it. Okay, so they're going to confuse you. And I don't want to do that in class.
I thought the lateral compartment does the jerk factor.
No, you got to go deep into the peroneal, the interossei, and the lumbar system, and the toes. That's interossei and lumbar.
Yeah.
Okay? Those are within the foot. They'll come off the tarsals and go into the
It doesn't connect to the,
The only ones that'll connect to them is to bring the foot up and bring the toes back and flex the toes. Okay?
yeah.
All right? Welcome back. Okay, so now that we've done that, we've done movement, let's look at what's in each compartment. Okay, so the first one we want to talk about is shoulder scapular sling muscles. And what does that mean? When you put an arm in a sling, what is it doing to the shoulder?
Supporting it.
Supporting it, resting it. Okay, these muscles support the scapula, so it doesn't fall off. Scapula, we don't have any type of ligament attachment anywhere, does it? Not really. A little bit with your clavicle, but that's about it. And the back half of it, it's all muscle. So it's a bone that totally relies on muscle to keep it, and it does a lot. So it only has some attachment to your uterus and to your clavicle, but it doesn't have any, it's not like your pelvis. Pelvis has a lot of ligament attachment within itself to keep it very solid and strong. Then the ligament attaches right to your spine. Well, if you look at just, remember your scapula, how it just sits there. It's only attached here. So it would just dangle if you didn't have muscle there. So remember that. So the trapezius, levator scapula, rhomboids, pecs, serratus, all insert to the scapula. So that means their origin is somewhere else. And if you understand where their origin is, then you understand what it's going to do. So if we take the trapezius muscle, a huge trapezoid-shaped muscle, that's where it gets its name from. Runs from the nuchal line, or the EOP, the skull, all the way down, its origin I'm talking about, all the way down to T12 is its origin. So it's covering a large area. You're covering, a lot of vertebrae. Think about how much you cover. Its insertion points are like what it says in the cat. Spinal scapula, acromion of scapula, and clavicula. Okay, so in the cat we name it by 3 names, spinal, acromion, clavicle. In a human it's just called upper, middle, lower tracts. You don't do that. Okay? So it's a big muscle. Levator scapula would also originate itself in the mid-cervical spine and would hook into the superior medial aspect of the scapula to help pull it and rotate it up when you want to make this movement. That's what it's for. It elevates the scapula, just like its name, but it inserts into the scapula. The rhomboid, same thing. Got enough of this, huh? Rhomboid is the same thing. Where will you find the rhomboid muscles when you look for these guys?
You have the trapezoid muscles.
Well, underneath. You won't see it unless you move the traps. It's deep. He's right. And it's going to be between scapula and the spine. So it's in the thoracic region, and they're going to come off the thoracic spine and insert into the scapula to help keep it stable this way. Medial pull. Okay? Pectoralis minor is going to originate off the ribs and insert into the coracoid process. So that's stabilizing the front of it now. But everything we've talked about is in the back. Serratus ventralis, same thing. It hooks off the ribs in the front, and comes around and hooks into the medial posterior, the medial ventral surface of the scapula. And how would you test serratus? You have somebody just to push up, that scapula wings out, they got a weak serratus on that side. So you can individually test these muscle groups. And if you take, everybody going into PTA, when you take kinesiology, you learn that. You'll learn how to isolate muscle, a particular muscle, and test it. So you understand why they're sling muscles, they're supporting the scapula. So if I want to move the humerus, such as the rotator cuff move, they kind of have to do what? They have to come off the scapula to the humerus. So they're going to originate on scapula and insert into humerus. Makes sense? The first three will turn it out, the sub turns it in. So these externally rotate, that internally rotates. What would that look like? We put the arm in this position, bring it up this way. That's these three, super, infra, teres minor. Subscapularis sits in the subscapular fossa, it'll turn the arm in, or you can put it against the body to have shoulder injury, and just turn it in, turn it out. Pin the humerus against the body, so they're not doing one of these, where they're not really moving it. If you really want to see the movement, you pin it against the body, okay, externally rotate, internally rotate, okay? So that's how you would figure out if these muscles work. These are known as your cuff muscles. SITS, sits. Okay? So usually on a test, you report, which of the following is not part of the rotator cuff? Which one do you think I would add there?
Deltoid.
No.
No.
Teres major.
Thank you. Because now it's going to be a coin toss between which teres belongs or doesn't belong. If you really don't know it.
So this is a test question.
It could be. It could be.
95-100% chance.
It could be.
Start.
You understand what I'm saying to you? So what would you ask? The one to eliminate. If you really know it, you know the major doesn't do this. The major job is this, not this. This. Okay? So if you understand what they do, guess what? Your practical becomes a piece of cake for you. Because you know where they belong and you know where to look for them. I'm not going to look for the rhomboid on the chest. It's not there. It's in the back. And it's deep. If the trap's in the way, I know I can't see it, so I know I'm looking at superficial muscles. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. Now again, we're going to continue to move our humerus. What do we have? The deltoids. There's your friend, the deltoids. Latissimus dorsi. Look, there's teres major. So the delts are going to what? Originate off clavicle or acromion or spine, come into the deltoid tuberosity to do this. Okay? Latissimus dorsi originates from T6, the whole lumbar spine comes up through, and what it's going to do is pull my arm back. Teres is going to come off the lateral aspect of the teres major, the lateral aspect of the scapula, and also hook into the anterior humerus. Pec major, off the chest. What's its origin? Remember, it was ribs, sternum, clavicle, and it comes into the anterior humerus. And coracobrachialis.
That's
Coracoid process.
Coracoid process to mid-shaft of humerus. There you go. Okay, so that, now how do you remember this guy here? Well, this would insert between these two. The lady between two majors. Pec major would be on the anterior lateral aspect. Teres major would be anterior medial aspect. And the lady comes in between the two of them. So she's the lady standing between two majors. That's how you remember how you separate the major from the minor, because the minor doesn't do that. The minor's coming right across here, here, to help do this. The major's coming in this way to do this. The lady is the last. So we take, we spell lady wrong, L-A-T-T-Y, lady. We put a little Rhode Island accent there, lady. Okay, like, right, instead of both of you, both.
Hey.
Hey, don't you know? Both of you come.
It's like Northern Canadian. Hey.
So that's moving out. So now we want to move the forearm. So we're going to have to insert above it. So just remember, you have to be above that joint to move the joint. That's all you gotta think about, how a crane would work. Crane's not gonna move below the object to pick it up, no, it's gonna sit up here and drop its thing and bring it up. Same thing here. So brachialis then is gonna originate mid-humeral shaft and go into the forearm. Pretty much radial, and both, it really divides into both. Biceps brachii will originate itself, believe it or not, off the coracoid process, and to go down into the, again, the ulna in the radius. So it can do this as well as this. So if I'm doing this move, what muscle would jump in to help this move? That's in my arm.
Last.
In my arm.
Oh.
The tricep.
The deltoid?
Some of it.
That's all right.
Levis dorsal.
How about coracobrachialis?
I don't know.
Like I just mentioned it.
We changed slides.
Triceps brachii will be in behind it to extend my arm. And the brachioradialis is going to originate off the humerus and come down the lateral aspect of your of the radius and insert near the radial styloid and does this motion. So when you hitchhike, okay, that's brachioradialis, okay? So like in the John Travolta movie when the Saturday Night Fever, like this.
Is that spelled right?
What? Brachii?
Biceps and triceps?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
No, he's not, he's part of it, Warren.
Huh?
There's no teeth.
Yeah, it's not seeing biceps.
According to my computer, there is.
Wow.
No, seriously, the computer corrected it to that. When I hit it, it changed it to that.
Really?
Put a T in it.
There's no T on the readings to do there.
Huh?
There's no T on the readings to do.
Doesn't mean there's spell choices, Jim's.
I don't know.
Triceps.
No, that's British spelling. But you're not aware. How do you spell orthopedic?
Well, good thing we're
How do you
in
spell
Brandon.
orthopedic? What's the proper way to spell orthopedic?
O-R-T. Oh, there's like a.
There's an A put in there.
Yeah, there's a random A.
Right, so when you go on a computer, the computer's gonna put an A in there. The computer's gonna add the T because that's the proper British spelling of bicep.
No, my computer doesn't have that. Google knows.
Is it spelled color with a U?
Huh?
Is it spelled color with a U?
So what?
Color.
No.
U. That's the British way to
Yeah,
spell
but
it.
hold on, but I'm talking about medical terminology, because computers will have it, so there is a medical way of spelling it. Yeah, so that's why these things have this computer. But, okay, let's go to the next. Now we're going to go to abdominal muscles, abdominal wall muscles. So the anterior abdominal wall versus the posterior abdominal wall. Okay? So the anterior abdominal wall will have external, internal, transverse, and rectus abdominis. That's the anterior. Posterior has quadratus lumborum and iliopsoas. That's your posterior abdominal wall. You know, iliopsoas is two muscles put together. It's not one muscle, it's really three. So is major, minor, and the iliacus. They unite together to make iliopsoas. Iliacus really comes off the iliac fossa down into the head part of your femur. So this is your true primary flexor of the hip, is this guy.
Question.
Any of the muscle.
Question on test.
Question on the test will be posterior wall, what are these two?
Oh,
Okay.
what's the true flexor?
No, that's too big. Quadratus lumborum is nothing but a quadrangle-shaped muscle in the lumbar region coming from rib 12 to the crest. Hence, quadratus lumborum, quadrangle-shaped muscle. Okay. So, starting to see how they get names. External oblique, the fibers run superior to inferior. Internal oblique, they run inferior to superior. So they cross over one another. So by doing this cross, you make strength. They'll insert in or around the rectus abdominis. Because it has a lot of tendon insertions. So that's easy. Let's go into let's go to lower limb. Again, we want to flex my hip. So I'm going to use the iliopsoas and the TFL to do that. My glutes will also be involved with TFL for lateral movement of my hip or extending of my hip. What do you have in the lab today? All right, are we good? You understand that? No. What?
What's the
Iliopsoas is two muscles in there, just put that. okay? But I don't really care about that, but it's still, what it's gonna do, it's coming down off your anterior lumbar spine. It comes down through the pelvis and hooks into the top of your femur. And this is the first muscle to contract when you're doing this movement, okay? The glutes is going to be the muscle to contract or extend you, depending on what glutes. The TFL, define what that is, come on your ASIS, go down inferior, then come off laterally, right here, tense it, and when you bring your leg up in this oblique move this way, there it is. That's your tensor fascial latte, which will become the iliotibial band and track all the way down the side of the knee and insert itself into the lateral tibia.
Oh, that's right, you did?
That's right. You'll see that next week in lab, which will make more sense if you see it on the cat, you know, on the youth. But it's mainly all tendinous material, very little muscle. That's what's weird about it, you know, but it causes so much problem with
I was about to feel like
with
you
the
don't
knee.
know about it.
There's a lot of problems. Look at our iliotibial band problem. And it knocks the whole tracking of the patella off. Because at the end, it wants to pull the patella off, is what it
Feels
wants
like
to
you're
do.
captured right together.
Exactly.
Awful.
Exactly. But the TFL is a very important muscle, you know, and you would test it in, you know, in a fashion of holding the person's leg out and no weak angles and push against resistance. That's how you test it. Okay, so that's how you test that. Okay, so now we go into your thigh muscles, anterior compound. See what it says on the top? Quadriceps. So that means we have 4. So what are the 3 vastus muscles? I only wrote 3, so what are they? Quadriceps is misspelled. Just don't worry about misspells, just better make sure you get them right on the exam. I'm becoming an English class. That's why I teach science, not English. Okay, so let's do this. Boom. Okay, so what would be the 3 muscles? Who knows? How about vastus medialis, vastus intermedius, vastus lateralis? So medialis is here underneath, the bump here. Lateralis is the bump on this side. Intermedius you can't feel because it sits right underneath the rectus femoris. So when you look at it in a cat, it's going to look like 2 hot dog buns with a hot dog in it. And the medial bun is the medialis, the lateral bun is the lateralis, and the hot dog is the rectus femoris.
Just maybe not, just on this godlike level.
Well, it's a way to remember it. It's not that you're going to want to eat it. And where would the rectus femoris be here? Right between the TFL and sartorius on the top. I'll show you a picture in a second. If you go through them all, we'll show you a picture. Okay, and sartorius. Sartorius is an anterior thigh muscle, but it's not part of the quad. So what's a good question to ask? Which of the following is not part of the quadriceps, but we're in the anterior thigh?
Star.
Sartorius wouldn't be there. It's in the front, still innervated by same nerve, femoral nerve, L2 to L4. Boom, there you go.
Which of the following,
Would not be part of the thigh.
That's it, I already said it, so somebody better give it to him. That's why I said it fast, it might be on your test. Now we go to medial compound. What we're doing here, it's easy for you, we take the adductor magnus, brevis, longus. Listen to these. Adductor magnus, longus, brevis. Put them as one and call it adductor femoris. So that adductor femoris is like 3 muscles combined to one. To make it easy, less muscles to remember. Then you have pectineus way up here and gracilis. Which one's the gracilis? When you walk and you know, when you get the underthighs, the gracilis rubs, and you get shaved, and your pants wear out from here. That's gracilis. What's that? Why is it doing that? Because it doesn't have any tone to it. You have to work your adductor group. What, you have a question? Did you raise your hand? Oh, okay,
No.
so you move it.
No.
No, not you, behind you. Where you go? No. That way. No. That was like when I was on lunch, I read it, principal, my fingers were so arthritic, so when she pointed, they went this way. Are you talking to me or him? I said, oh no, terminate this hand. because you went for the patch. So these are your adductor, just like it says, they're adductor group, they're medial thigh, boom, all innovative will learn, up the rate of nerve, L2, L4. Okay, when we get the nervous system. So where are we going to go from here? Where do we go from here? Back here, posterior thigh. Posterior thigh. That pectineus is the one you always pull on before you're born, but you can't stand it. It's only a short muscle, about big just down right and left. Hamstring group. The mid of hand, come on. Okay, so you got 4 back there. Your biceps means 2 head. Go ahead, say it. Don't move again. And then semi-tendinosus, semi-membranosus. Go ahead, David, say it. All right. These two are the ones people, this is on the lateral posterior thigh, this is on the medial posterior thigh. People mix these up all the time on practicals. The membranosus is the thick one. The tendinosus is thin and long like a tendon, hence tendinosus. Got it? Got it. And it's going to flex the knee. Okay? And with the, work with the glutes to extend the hip. Are we good with that?
Not quite.
Well, you'll be happy, so I write them all down.
Let's do it.
On your PowerPoints. Download them.
Because it's better to remember if I use muscle memory on my hand.
But you're going to have to write them more than once.
These 5 times.
I know.
Write it out, write it out, write it out, write it out. I don't want you to do all this extra work you don't have. That's the only reason why I'm saying it. And also, they're rare. They're on the sheets that you get in lab. So if you download lab, the second lab from muscle, you have the navicular, there they are. Are you good? Are you all set? Everybody all set? Everybody copy? Done. Go. Done. Go. Come on. I'm sick of being here. Okay. Leg. Leg. We're only learning a few. There's a lot more involved here. Okay. This group here is the anterior compartment, tibialis anterior, and we already talked about this. That's just the total numbers. What's this represent, this muscle? No, it doesn't represent that, unless you eat it. What? My finger.
Femur.
Femur.
No.
Yes. Well, it's on the leg, so I don't know why it's touching over
Is that
here.
like your Achilles tendon?
No.
No,
Is that-
never mind.
Is that the,
No,
is
how
that
would you classify it? Is that talking about muscle shape?
Fibula.
is that the muscle that goes over the tongue? No, that's the shoulder.
No.
Yeah.
No,
There was a pennant. Which one? Uni, bi, or multi? Who says uni? Good job, uni. Has fibers on one side, feather-like, remember? Where was the bipennant? The rectus femoris. And where was the multipennant?
Shoulder.
Deltoid, there you go.
More.
Okay, so that's the end. Here's the posterior compartment, gastrocnemius and soleus. And they go into the Achilles tendon. Then you have teres, you have a lot of them back there. Lateral is known as the peroneus muscle group, peroneus longus, brevis, and that's on the lateral aspect. It's pulmonary muscles, that's it. Okay, so those are all the muscles that can be asked on your written test. Not in lab, there's more here than what's in lab. Okay? So, just to get some idea. There's a lot more. So they're looking at the abdominal muscles coming in, you know, the nice six back. Okay.
Picture.
Just remember, the pec major overlies the pec minor. Deep, superficial. Serratus comes in around. That serrated edge, that's in here on you. That's the serratus. They're high up. Under that would be the external oblique. So there you can see deltoid, sternocleidomastoid. Why is it called sternocleidomastoid? Think what it's doing. Sternocleidomastoid. Just like sternohyoid. Goes from sternum to the hyoid bone. Okay, so reason them out instead of just memorize. When students love it, this is how it looks for real like it down. Doesn't really look that great, does it? Then we go to the back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, again, you see the traps. all the way down. Look at, and then you have the latissimus dorsi coming in under the traps. So in the cat, when you raise this would be spinal traps. Propial traps, lateral traps. Okay? And then you have spinal deltoid, chromial deltoid in the front, clavicle deltoid. That's how it is in the kitty cat, all right? Then we go to the deep muscles. We have rhomboid major, minor, and then here's your levated scapula. You don't see that. That would be called what in the cat who had lab yesterday.
Dorsal
My lab yesterday was in here. A capitis. Not a hot.
No,
Capitis. 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 Like head. Going to the head. Okay? So the cat has, well, I thought you were looking at another one. Cat has 3 because you're going to get asked it. And I might ask the broken one just to see who really knows it. So the cat, a lot of times we ask muscles cut in half, see if you really know them. So that's how you make it harder, because it's too easy the way it is. But you have capitis, you have 1 extra. Cat will have 4 muscles on his chest. What are the other 2 muscles it has? Who had lab yesterday?
Acromius and.
Don't even listen to her, go ahead. There's
The
no
muscles
acromius.
on the chest.
Top one, what is it?
Clavicle. No, the
Thank you,
clavicle muscles
pectoral
are-
brachialis, and this one that runs from here to the arm.
And
And
then.
the xiphoid.
Xiphoid,
Yeah.
xiphoid to where? Named by where it goes. Xiphoid humoralis, there you go. So on the cat, you have pectointerbrachialis, pec major, pec minor, xiphoid humoralis. The human, you just have major and minor pec, that's it. With the rhomboid, you have major and minor. In capitis, the human just has major and minor. Notice where supraspinatus is, infraspinatus is. Teres minor is here, teres major is here. And underneath would be the subscapularis. I just want to show you the thigh and then we'll move the thigh so you don't get messed up. You have an anterior thigh. Because the arm is back here. Okay, when you look at the anterior thigh, remember I told you, here's the TFL, that's fasciatum, and here's sartorius, here's the rectus. And this is the lateralis medialis, because you have to chop this one to see. Okay? And then what we're doing, I group all this together, and we make this